My name is Miguel, and I am a department liaison with First Watch Wellness. When I was young, we received a call that my grandmother's house was on fire. And when we got there, they were just putting the fire out, just cleaning up the hot spots. And I had no idea what they were doing, but I was overwhelmed by both the work that was being done, the teamwork that was there, the urgency in which they were doing their work, and the way that they cared for my mother. She was very, very upset because not long after we got there, my mother was told that my grandmother had perished in the fire. But they continued to take care of her. And I remember a strong sense of wanting to be that man that took care of my mom. I became a firefighter in 1982. I was hired in Modesto, California, and I worked there for about 28 years. Following that opportunity, I took the job as fire chief of the Livermore Pleasanton Fire Department, which is in Northern California, the Bay Area of California, and I served there for about 4.5 years before retiring to St. George, Utah with my sweetheart. I had been retired for about 2 years when family responsibilities took us from southern Utah up to northern Utah, where my wife was born and raised. And it was clear that retirement had kind of changed, and I was fortunate enough to get appointed as the fire chief of Provo, Utah. I served there for just a little shy of 7 years, and now to be somewhat retired in Utah. The job is very demanding. And what isn't demanding at work, you end up taking home with you often. We all think that we go home and we are present, and we are good husbands and we are good fathers, and we don't recognize, I think, the impact that this job has, and the things that we see, and the amount of time that we are away from home, and the things that we miss. You don't want to tell your family what you've experienced, what it is that's hurting inside you, what it is that you saw. And so it causes distance. I saw a lot of wonderful people, and they continue to be wonderful people the entire time I worked with them. It didn't come without struggles. It didn't come without divorce. It didn't come without personal challenges. And saw some people that were overwhelmed by those challenges, and it changed their life. It changed their career. It had a tremendous negative impact on their life because of some of the things that we experience on the street. I lived about 20 minutes or 25 minutes from my fire station, and I cherished that 20 or 25 minutes driving home because I tried to unplug. I tried to leave it at the city limits. When I became a firefighter, many of my captains had fought in Vietnam, and they came home and they were able to get a job in the fire service. But they didn't leave Vietnam in Vietnam. It was really, really hard on them. So therefore, it wasn't talked about. The things that we saw, the difficult circumstances that we saw. My very first significant fire was a fatal fire of a family of 5. And while I went back to the hospital and I cried, and I spent time with another firefighter that also was emotional over this experience that we had just had. Once we finished our good cry in the hospital, in the emergency room of the hospital, and got back on the fire engine, that was it. There was no more conversation about that, and there was nowhere to go with that. It was just part of the job. I am finding out now, I have found out in the last several years that was dirt I needed to stir up again and to deal with, and along with many other emergencies that I had been on, and other experiences that I had that I needed to talk about, and I needed to process, and I needed to put behind me. The fire service was missing that, missing the need to care for the mental wellness of firefighters that had been through very difficult things. I am delighted with the progress that I see, and the departments that are embracing mental wellness and providing services for their men and women. It's a change that is necessary. It is a change that fire departments and police departments need to emphasize so they don't carry those things for the next 40 years. One of the single most significant things that I did in my career was, as a group of people, bring mental wellness to Provo Fire. We chose First Watch, and we had a relationship with them, and there were some that embraced it. There were probably more that did not embrace it. But as people started to use it, and as people started to talk about the significance that it made in the significant change it made in their life, it became more culturalized. First Watch is one of many that are trying to do their very best to touch every police officer and every firefighter in this country. A few months after I retired, I had a major surgery. 15 to 18 days after that, I had a panic, anxiety, call it what you will. I had an attack. And my sweetheart found me curled up on the couch in a mental state that she'd never seen me in before. I was fortunate enough to still have First Watch available to me as a retiree. And one of the questions that he asked me that was sobering was, he said, "You've been a firefighter for 40 years. You've worn the badge, you've ridden on the fire engine. You've been a chief for 20 years. Now that you're retired, think about where you're going to get your identity." And it was quite sobering to think about that and to realize part of what was happening to me was this separation that I had with something that I held so dear, and now it was removed from forever, you know. And so following my healing, and I was fortunate enough to have a conversation with the founder of First Watch, and he gave me the opportunity now to bring this, that made such a difference in my life, to bring this to other police departments and fire departments. And so I am certainly grateful to be a part of this work, and something that's so important and so desperately needed, and to be a part of bringing that to them is special and gives me identity.